The whole house seemed to exhale a melancholy breath of emptiness. Etri dans le vent, c'est avoir le destin de fuir les morts. I want to be free, Michael. Just for once in my whole life, I want to be free. You are free. You just don't know it yet. Aim for the moon. If you miss, you may hit a star. It takes guts and humility to admit mistakes. Admitting we're wrong is courage, not weakness. There is another alphabet, whispering from every leaf, singing from every river, shimmering from every sky. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it isn't so. Vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weakness. Like poetry, fashion does not state anything. It merely suggests. Failure is not when you fail once, but when you refuse to learn from your mistake. People say nothing is impossible, but I do nothing every day. Even if people do not understand you, at least they do not possess the same ability as your bizarre uniqueness. Nothing is necessitated whose opposite is possible. Life is a drama full of tragedy and comedy. You should learn to enjoy the comic episodes a little more. Oh, darling, don't be bitter. It's the first instinct of the week. Plant your tiny seeds and keep watering them every day. Soon, they'll grow. Maybe some things aren't meant to be known. Maybe they're just meant to be accepted. When I was about 8, I decided that the most wonderful thing, next to a human being, was a book. Life is infinitely stranger than anything which the mind of man could invent. Everything will turn out right. The world is built on that. Day after day, we stuck, nor breath nor motion, as idle as a painted ship upon a painted ocean. Rewards await you if you stay steadfast in your faith. The journey is what brings us happiness, not the destination. What we do is more important than what we say or what we say we believe. A lie, sometimes, can be truer than the truth, which is why fiction gets written. Swirl into joy today by sharing your caring with the world. Be a pillar of positivity. You are not the victim of the world, but rather the master of your own destiny. It is your choices and decisions that determine your destiny. The thermometer of success is merely the jealousy of the malcontents. Take advantage of it now, while you are young, and suffer all you can, because these things don't last your whole life. Some things you hear with your ears, others you hear with your heart. It is not a failure to readjust my sails to fit the waters I find myself in. Imagine no limitations. Decide what's right and desirable before you decide what's possible. Despite its dark veins, the transparency of dragonflies' wings assures me of a pure, innocent world. Adversity discourages losers. Adversity inspires winners. I saw a star. I reached for it. I missed, so I accepted the sky. Use the wings of the flying universe. Dream with open eyes. See in darkness. I saw the world from the star's point of view, and it looked unbearably lonely. Some used drugs to silence the pain. Others used them to feel the pain they silenced. Your past battles are part of your story. It is a powerful testimony that will inspire others. Things die, but they don't always stay dead. Believe me, I know. The best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of ideas. Man is no longer an artist. He has become a work of art. Life is pain. Anyone who says otherwise is selling something. Man in general, if reduced to himself, is too wicked to be free. When we're connected to others, we become better people. Every man should lose a battle in his youth, so he does not lose a war when he is old. There's always something in it for the person who is allowing to be taken advantage of. Psychotherapist David in Type 1 Sociopath. I do not believe in taking the right decision, I take a decision and make it right. Conformity teaches us the value of our precious worth. Miracles do not, in fact, break the laws of nature. That's the problem with memories. You can visit them, but you can't live in them. Better to get hurt by the truth than comforted with a lie. Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence win championships. The most confused you will ever get is when you try to convince your heart and spirit of something your mind knows is a lie. But all I could think of was how when nothing made sense and hadn't for ages, you just have to grab onto anything you feel sure of. Because sometimes people who seem good end up being not as good as you might have hoped. What one generation finds ridiculous, the next accepts, and the third shudders when it looks back on what the first did. Everything, no matter how beautiful, is only with us for a while. Dripping water hollows out stone, not through force but through persistence. Tourism, human circulation considered as consumption, is fundamentally nothing more than the leisure of going to see what has become banal. Nothing has to be true forever, just for long enough. Autobiography begins with a sense of being alone. It is an orphan form. The best reaction to a paradox is to invent a genuinely new and deep idea. Stay away from those who want you to be in the same predicament as them. We fool ourselves so much we could do it for a living. A concept is a brick. It can be used to build a courthouse of reason, or it can be thrown through the window. You can recognize a small truth because its opposite is a falsehood. The opposite of a great truth is another truth. Stop feeling sorry for yourself, and you will be happy. If you carry joy in your heart, the burdens of life will become lighter, and your journey will become a dance of joy and contentment. We're never called on to do what hurts. We just do what hurts out of ignorance and habit. Once we see what we're doing, we can stop. Those who rest when they need to work will work when they need to rest. Do your bit when it is most rewarding. Never allow a person to tell you no who doesn't have the power to say yes. There is but one true philosophical problem, and that is suicide. The truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is. If your dreams are too hard to achieve, just achieve. Friendship happens when the distance between the hearts tends to zero. Life is a full circle, widening until it joins the circle motions of the infinite. Be sure what you want, and be sure about yourself. There are two ways to live a life: either forget everything or remember nothing. When you came, you cried, and everybody smiled with joy. When you go, smile and let the world cry for you. Desire is half of life. Indifference is half of death. The most common sort of lie is that by which a man deceives himself. The deception of others is a relatively rare offense. In short, philosophical theories are largely the product of the hidden hand of the cognitive unconscious. If you know how to remain peaceful from within, then there is nothing in this world that can create trouble in you. It's good to do uncomfortable things. It's weight training for life. You often feel tired, not because you've done too much, but because you've done too little of what sparks a light in you. In a world chasing trends, find solace in the everlasting embrace of authenticity and pure happiness. The right to search for the truth implies also a duty. One must not conceal any part of what one has recognized to be the truth. I know it's not easy for you, living this life, but try to remember, always try to remember, you're not the only one with troubles. Do nothing and nothing happens. Life is about decisions. You either make them or they're made for you, but you can't avoid them. Judging is the cause that creates the effect of choosing. I am well practiced in avoidance and indifference, though the hollowness in my soul resents her absence. I wear the mask I must. Be brave enough to live the life of your dreams according to your vision and purpose instead of the expectations and opinions of others. My world is about stories that entertain, emotions that move, people you'll remember, literature that matters. Sorrow looks back, worry looks around, faith looks up. The man who writes about himself and his own time is the only man who writes about all people and all time. When we begin to live like wildflowers, we put so much of our hearts into blossoming even in the most hostile surroundings. It had always seemed to him a very plush kind of problem, a privilege, really, to consider whether life was meaningful or not. But every difference of opinion is not a difference of principle. Sometimes, the things and questions that make us angry are true in nature, or we know they are, deep down in our heart.